Chosen one, listen closely. Heaven has drawn you here on purpose. You didn't click this message by accident. The Spirit of God is whispering through the static of your struggle, saying, "It's time." The wilderness you've been wandering in is coming to an end. The dry season that tested every fiber of your faith is about to break open, and what you thought was delay was divine preparation. For so long you have walked through invisible deserts, places where prayers echoed back empty, where hope felt like sand slipping through your fingers. You kept asking God, "Did I miss you? Did you leave me here?" But the answer is rising now like morning light over barren land. You were never lost, you were being led. Every closed door, every silent night, every friendship that faded, none of it was punishment. It was positioning. God has been pruning distractions, shaping your discernment, and training your spirit to recognize His voice in the stillness. What felt like isolation was incubation. What looked like exile was elevation in disguise. You have reached a threshold moment, the place where wilderness ends and destiny begins. The enemy wanted you to believe you'd die in the desert, but God is saying, "You're crossing over." You're about to step into a season that your past cannot follow you into. The things that drained you will lose their grip. The confusion will clear. The provision you've been praying for will find you. This is not just another encouraging word. It's a prophetic announcement from heaven. Your wilderness assignment is complete. The tests have served their purpose. The pain has broken the shell. The old version of you could not carry what's next. Chosen one, you have endured enough nights questioning your worth, your calling, your direction. But now the trumpet of transition is sounding. The Jordan is parting. The same God who met you in the dry place is leading you into abundance. And though you may still see dust under your feet, heaven already sees rivers flowing before you. Stay close, because in the next breath of this message, God will reveal why the waiting was necessary, how the wilderness prepared you, and what He is about to release over your life. The crossing is not coming. It has begun. You can feel it, can't you? That shift in the atmosphere. Something invisible but undeniable has started to move around you. It's subtle, like the faint scent of rain before the clouds burst, but your spirit knows the change has come. That quiet awareness you can't explain is heaven's confirmation. The hand of God is already in motion. He's been speaking in ways you didn't always recognize. Through restlessness that made you outgrow old places. Through closed doors that redirected your steps. Through the ache that refused to let you settle for less than what He promised. For a while it felt like silence. But it wasn't silence. It was strategy. When God hides His voice, it's because He's teaching you to hear Him in new frequencies. You were never abandoned. You were being tuned. He was drawing you away from the noise so you could finally distinguish His whisper from the world's confusion. There are moments when heaven pauses, not to punish, but to prepare. Moments when the divine pulls back the curtain of comfort to awaken the warrior inside you. And though you may not have seen it then, that's exactly what's been happening. Every unanswered prayer, every delay, every detour, it was all part of a sacred equation designed to bring you to this very now. The Spirit of God has been orchestrating events like a composer conducting a symphony, every note intentional, every rest deliberate. You are about to hear the crescendo. The Father says, "I never left you in the wilderness. I walked beside you in every storm, even when you couldn't feel my presence. I carried you through nights you didn't think you'd survive. I watched as you wrestled with doubt and still chose to believe. And because you believed, because you didn't give up, I am now revealing what the struggle was birthing. This moment is not random. It is written. You are stepping into a divine timeline that was set before your first breath. The wilderness was the proving ground. But destiny is the inheritance. And now heaven is leaning close, whispering instructions for the next phase of your journey. You're not the same person who entered that dry season. You've gained wisdom from wounds, clarity from chaos, and power from pain. You've learned to pray differently, to listen deeper, to move slower, but with precision. Those who misunderstood your silence will soon witness your emergence. And they'll know it wasn't luck, it was divine alignment. So take a deep breath. You've crossed through confusion and found revelation. You've walked through emptiness and discovered endurance. Now the threshold before you isn't just a door, it's a destiny portal. Heaven has declared it open, and what lies beyond is more than restoration, it's redefinition. Because the one who called you didn't just promise to bring you out, he promised to bring you through. The journey continues, and in the next breath, the veil will lift completely. You will hear the prophecy itself, the word that explains why you had to wander and what waits on the other side of the crossing. Listen carefully, because what's being revealed right now is not just a message. It's a movement in the spirit. You've reached the turning of a divine page. The wilderness chapter has been sealed, and the ink of heaven is writing something new over your life. What once looked like delay is now being redefined as design. What felt like endless wandering is transforming into divine arrival. God says, I have watched you navigate seasons that broke others. I saw you walk through rejection without retaliation, through uncertainty without surrender. I saw your tears hit the ground like seeds, and now those tears have matured into a harvest. This is the moment when dry ground drinks again. This is the hour when hidden promises begin to breathe. You're standing at the edge of the unseen river, and heaven's wind is beginning to part it before your very eyes. In this new phase, things that once resisted you will start to release you. Doors that refused to open will unlock with effortless grace. People who couldn't walk with you will fade into the background, not as punishment to them, but as preservation for you. Because you cannot cross over surrounded by those who were assigned only to your wilderness. The Spirit of God whispers, do not mourn what I removed. Rejoice for what I'm revealing. Every subtraction was a setup for multiplication. Every loss carried the hidden seed of gain. Every silence was an unseen rehearsal for the sound that's about to come forth from your life. You are about to witness the great reversal. The same places that once felt barren will overflow. The same hands that once pointed in doubt will stretch in awe. The same areas of lack will become evidence of abundance. But this crossing is not just external, it's internal. It's not about geography, it's about glory. It's not about moving from one place to another, it's about becoming who you were destined to be before fear, failure, or fatigue ever touched your name. The wilderness stripped away your false identities. It peeled back every label you accepted that heaven never wrote. It dismantled the image the world tried to give you, so that the original design, the divine blueprint, could finally emerge. You're not walking out of the wilderness as who you were. You're walking out as who you are. You're stepping into alignment with what heaven has always seen. The prophecy unfolds like this. The season of wandering is over. The mantle of purpose is resting upon your shoulders, and the voice that once seemed distant will now become daily. The anointing that was developing in private will begin to manifest in public. The resources you lacked will find you because you're now aligned with divine timing. But there's more. You are not only crossing over personally, you are becoming a bridge for others. The very path you once crawled through in pain will become a road others will walk through in freedom. That's why the warfare was so fierce, because you weren't just fighting for survival. You were birthing deliverance. The Lord says, "You will be the sign of my faithfulness. You will carry evidence that I still lift, still heal, still restore. Your life will speak louder than your words ever could. I'm not just changing your season, I'm changing your name in the Spirit. In the days ahead, you will feel a pull, an inner knowing that certain doors are calling you forward. Do not hesitate. These are divine intersections. Step boldly. Move with peace. The same presence that sustained you in the desert will empower you in destiny. The wilderness was necessary, but it was never permanent. The hunger you felt was holy. The silence you endured was sacred. And now the wind that once felt empty is carrying the sound of your next assignment. You are not crossing by your own strength, you're being carried by grace. The old maps will no longer work, because God Himself is charting your next steps. This is the prophecy unveiled. You are leaving the land of almost and entering the realm of it is done. The waiting has served its purpose. The wandering has produced wisdom, and the wilderness has ended not by your effort, but by divine decree. So what does it all mean? Why did the path have to twist this way? Why the long nights, the hidden tears, the battles no one saw? Because every wilderness is a womb. Every dry season is a divine classroom where heaven teaches you how to see beyond sight, how to walk by faith when the map disappears, and how to trust the stillness when thunder goes silent. You see, crossing over isn't just about entering a new place, it's about becoming a new person. The wilderness stripped you down to the essentials so you could recognize what truly matters, not applause, not validation, not speed, but alignment. In the wilderness, God retuned your heart to His frequency. The things that once thrilled you lost their color, not because life became dull, but because your spirit was awakening. The old appetites couldn't satisfy a soul designed for destiny. You started to crave purity over popularity, peace over noise, purpose over comfort. That was the first sign that the crossing had already begun. The wilderness is God's workshop of revelation. There, the light of understanding burns without distraction. It's where idols fall silent and truth begins to speak. You learned that provision was never really about money, it was about trust. You learned that love was never about being seen, it was about being known. You learned that power was never about control, it was about surrender. Every storm you faced carried sacred symbolism. The wind represented cleansing, the fire represented refinement, the silence represented intimacy, and the waiting represented faith maturing under pressure. Like the children of Israel standing before the Jordan, you had to stand still long enough for God to part something that no human hand could touch. He let you come to the end of yourself so you could finally begin with Him. This transition is more than promotion. It's purification. Because to carry divine authority, you must first endure divine anonymity. To walk in glory, you must learn humility. To lead others, you must first let God lead you through obscurity. Every test was tailored to your transformation. Heaven never wastes pain. It recycles it into power. The enemy thought he was burying you, but heaven knew he was planting you. The pressure you felt wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to birth you. And now, as light begins to break across your horizon, you'll start to understand why certain prayers took so long to be answered. God was aligning timing with maturity. He wouldn't let blessings arrive while you were still becoming, because He loves you too much to let a promise destroy an unprepared vessel. So He waited until your roots grew deep enough to handle the fruit. He waited until your discernment sharpened enough to recognize destiny from distraction. He waited until your heart could hold glory without pride, success without arrogance, love without compromise. That's the spiritual meaning of this crossing. It's not an escape. It's an evolution. You're not running from who you were. You're rising into who you were always meant to be. In this new season, every symbol around you will begin to carry prophetic weight. Light will represent revelation. Water will represent renewal. Doors will represent decisions. And winds will represent divine acceleration. When you sense those elements shifting in your life, don't resist them. Read them. Heaven speaks through patterns, through timing, through atmospheres. The spiritual world often announces transitions before the physical world catches up. That's why you've been feeling the tension between endings and beginnings, because spiritually, you're already across. The old self cannot survive where you're going. Fear cannot breathe in this new altitude. Doubt cannot walk on this new terrain. You're shedding the last layers of limitation, and heaven is clothing you with authority. This crossing is both holy and human. It's not about perfection, it's about progression. You'll still feel moments of trembling, but even that trembling is sacred. It means your spirit recognizes the magnitude of what's happening. The truth is, the wilderness didn't weaken you. It made you weighty. It filled you with glory unseen by human eyes. And now as you stand between what was and what will be, the voice of God is declaring over you, you are ready. You have passed the test. The oil has been refined. The vessel has been proven. The next season is not a rumor, it's a revelation. Step forward. Because spiritual maturity isn't proven in the absence of storms, but in the ability to see the rainbow while the thunder still rolls. It's realizing that God never promised the absence of battle. He promised the assurance of victory. And this right here is the meaning of your crossing. It's heaven's confirmation that the season of survival has ended and the season of stewardship has begun. When heaven shifts your season, it always leaves evidence. The natural world begins to echo the rhythm of the Spirit. Subtle signs appear, quiet yet undeniable, signaling that the crossing has begun. You may not notice them at first. They arrive softly, like dawn light slipping through a curtain. But once you're tuned in, you can't unsee them. The first sign is divine restlessness. It's that sudden discomfort with places and patterns that once felt comfortable. You might wake up and realize what used to satisfy no longer does. Conversations lose meaning. Environments feel smaller. That's not depression, it's divine dislocation. Heaven is pulling you out of what is too small for your next stage. The same grace that once kept you there is now pushing you forward. The second sign is holy separation. Relationships that were once central begin to fade. People you thought were permanent begin to drift away. Don't chase what God has released. Separation is sacred surgery. He's removing what cannot cross the river with you. Some connections were seasonal scaffolding, not eternal structure. You honor them, you bless them, but you must not return to them. The wilderness ends where obedience begins. The third sign is accelerated alignment. Doors start opening without explanation. Delays suddenly dissolve. Conversations you never expected begin to position you in front of opportunities you didn't even apply for. This is not coincidence, it's coordination. Heaven is arranging divine appointments on your behalf. What once required striving will now flow effortlessly because grace is doing the heavy lifting. The fourth sign is supernatural sensitivity. You begin to sense God's presence more keenly in small moments in quiet spaces. Scriptures leap off the page. Dreams carry clarity. You might even feel physical sensations of peace when you step in the right direction, or unease when you step toward the wrong one. That's discernment awakening. The same Spirit that guided Jesus into the wilderness is now guiding you out. The fifth sign is visible vindication. Those who doubted your journey will see undeniable fruit, not to humiliate them, but to glorify the one who sustained you. God is about to make your endurance visible. Expect old misunderstandings to clear not through explanations, but through elevation. Your life itself will become the testimony. And the final sign, perhaps the most sacred, is a sudden, unshakable peace. Not the kind that comes from everything being perfect, but the kind that comes from knowing you are aligned. It's the peace that whispers, "I don't know what's next, but I know I'm not lost." That peace is heaven's signature on your spirit, confirming the transition is real. All these signs are not random. They are prophetic patterns. They're heaven's way of letting you know the season has shifted. The door is open and you are crossing, even when it doesn't look like movement yet. When these confirmations begin to appear, don't dismiss them as coincidences. Mark them. Record them. They are landmarks of grace proof that heaven keeps its promises. Because once the signs have spoken, the next stage unfolds the part few talk about. But every chosen must walk through the hidden challenges that rise just before fulfillment. Before every crossing comes resistance. Even when God opens the way, the enemy often tries to whisper one last lie. You're not ready. That's why the final stretch of your wilderness may feel strangely intense. It's not a setback. It's a sign. The closer you are to breakthrough, the louder the opposition becomes. These hidden challenges are not meant to stop you. They're meant to strengthen you. They're the final tests of trust before territory. Think of them as spiritual checkpoints designed not by cruelty, but by wisdom, to ensure that what you're about to inherit won't crush you. The first challenge is spiritual fatigue. You may feel drained right before the promise unfolds. It's because the journey has been long, and your spirit has poured out more than it's received. Heaven's instruction, rest not, retreat. The fatigue isn't failure. It's an indicator that your faith has been active. Even warriors need recovery before the next campaign. God is teaching you that in this season, rest is a weapon. The second challenge is mental warfare. Old fears will try to resurrect themselves. Voices from the past may echo, reminding you of times you stumbled, times you doubted. But hear this clearly. The voice of fear always gets louder right before it loses power. That mental noise is the dying sound of the old mindset. It cannot cross over. When it rises, respond with truth. I've already survived worse than this. I'm not going backward. The third challenge is emotional confusion. You might feel torn between excitement and uncertainty, between peace and pressure. It's the paradox of transition, the heart sensing both ending and beginning at once. When that happens, don't analyze it, anchor in faith. The feeling of contradiction is normal when heaven is rearranging your foundation. The fourth challenge is spiritual silence. Right before major movement, God often grows quiet. It's not absence, it's assurance. He's saying, "You already know my voice now, trust my word." He's giving you space to walk by conviction, not constant confirmation. If he seems distant, it's only because he's standing in front of you, leading the way. And the fifth challenge, perhaps the hardest, is letting go. Releasing what you built with your own hands so you can receive what was built by his. Letting go of strategies that once worked but no longer fit. Letting go of expectations, identities, even timelines. This is sacred surrender, the narrow gate that leads to expansion. You cannot receive with clenched fists. Every challenge is coded with a blessing. Fatigue teaches rest. Fear trains faith. Confusion deepens clarity. Silence refines hearing. Surrender unlocks destiny. The wilderness may be ending, but the lessons it taught you will remain as armor. You now understand that faith isn't proven by ease, it's proven by endurance. And endurance is the mark of those who carry divine authority. So if you find yourself facing these challenges, don't panic, praise. They are proof that you're at the border. They're heaven's way of confirming you're almost through. Hold steady. Because what comes next is not struggle, it's strategy. The next word spoken will be heaven's instruction for how to walk into the promise that's already open before you. Now that you understand the meaning of your crossing and the weight of what you've endured, heaven releases instruction, direction for the next phase. Because revelation without instruction leads to delay, but revelation with obedience leads to destiny fulfilled. The first instruction move when you feel the pull, not when you see the path. God rarely shows the full map. He gives you a single step enough to test trust. You will sense moments when something deep inside says, "Now, move then." Don't wait for perfect clarity. Movement reveals the miracle. Faith was never designed for comfort. It was designed for courage. The second instruction: guard your atmosphere. You are stepping into holy ground, and not every voice should walk with you there. Protect your peace like it's sacred currency, because it is. Limit access to those who drain doubt or distort your vision. Heaven is not asking you to be cruel. It's asking you to be careful. You cannot discern divine direction surrounded by constant distraction. In this next phase, silence will speak louder than noise. The third instruction: honor the process. Don't rush the unfolding. Destiny is not delivered in a day, it develops over time. God says, the promise will not be premature. The same hands that shaped you in the wilderness are shaping opportunities around you now. Let patience finish her work. Every delay that remains is divine synchronization. Remember, quick fruit spoils fast, but slow fruit carries sweetness. The fourth instruction: build in secret before you reveal in public. Not every seed should be shared while it's still soiled deep. Protect what's growing. Let God mature it before you announce it. Some things are so sacred that early exposure would kill their potential. When you build quietly, heaven blesses loudly. When you chase applause, the noise of men drowns the whisper of God. In this season, humility will be your amplifier. The fifth instruction: keep your oil pure. You've been entrusted with revelation, don't dilute it for approval. Stay rooted in prayer. Stay anchored in gratitude. Stay close to the presence that sustained you when no one else could. The anointing you carry was expensive. It cost you nights of breaking and years of becoming. Don't trade it for recognition. Don't waste it on proving your worth. Let your oil speak for itself. It will draw those who are meant to find you. The sixth instruction: speak what you want to see. In the wilderness, you prayed out of survival. Now pray out of authority. Your words are no longer cries of desperation. They are decrees of destiny. Heaven listens differently when you speak from alignment, so declare with boldness: the river is parting. The land is opening. The promise is mine. Your tongue is the tool that shapes your territory. The seventh instruction: walk in gratitude, not comparison. Gratitude multiplies what you have. Comparison subtracts what you see. You're not behind, you're precisely on time. Don't measure your journey by someone else's pace. Each chosen vessel carries a different clock of calling. Heaven's timing looks slow to flesh, but perfect to faith. If you remain thankful in transition, joy becomes your fuel for manifestation. And finally, live ready. Opportunities will appear suddenly. Doors will swing open without warning. Divine connections will arrive, disguised as ordinary moments. Live as one who expects heaven to move at any second. Keep your spirit alert. Keep your heart light. Keep your yes prepared. These are the commands of crossing the posture of those who carry promise. You are no longer wandering. You are walking with direction. You are no longer waiting. You are working with wisdom. God is saying, I've equipped you. I've tested you. Now I'm trusting you to carry what I've placed in you. This is not just obedience. It's partnership. You and heaven are building together now. The wilderness was survival training. The promised land is stewardship. So take these instructions and hold them like scrolls of gold. Because what follows obedience is not chaos, it's covering. The moment you align with divine instruction, you activate divine protection. You've followed the voice, you've endured the lessons, and now heaven surrounds you with assurance. Because every divine instruction comes wrapped in divine protection. You were never meant to walk into the promise afraid, you were meant to walk in with peace. Listen, the same God who guarded you in obscurity will shield you in opportunity. He doesn't lead you into the open, only to leave you exposed. Every new level carries new light, but also new eyes, watching new pressures forming. That's why this next stage comes with an invisible hedge grace woven like armor around your spirit. You are protected not because danger ceases to exist, but because it no longer has permission to destroy. Angels have been assigned to your path. Some of them, you'll sense an unexplained calm, a delay that kept you safe, a dream that warned you in advance. Others you'll never see until eternity. But they're already at work standing watch as you cross this threshold. There will be moments when you feel the weight of what's ahead. But that's only because heaven's mantle is resting heavier on your shoulders. You are carrying glory now. Glory attracts both wonder and warfare. But fear not, because what surrounds you is greater than what opposes you. You don't fight alone anymore. The atmosphere itself recognizes your anointing. The Spirit of God whispers, you are covered by covenant. That means every arrow meant for you must pass through promise first. Every accusation, every curse, every word spoken in secret against you, they dissolve in the light of the one who calls you his own. No weapon formed against you can prosper, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. There will still be storms, yes, but storms are not the absence of protection. They're proof of purpose. When the disciples sailed with Jesus, the storm still came. But it couldn't sink the boat that carried the word. Likewise, you may feel winds rise again, but peace will speak from within you now, not just over you. You've learned to command calm because you've met the one who controls the sea. In this new chapter, protection looks like clarity. You'll begin to discern faster, decide cleaner, detach easier. That's not coldness, it's covering. The Spirit will nudge you before danger approaches, closing doors before you know why. Trust the sudden no. Trust the redirect. Heaven's rerouting is still mercy in motion. And when you feel alone, remember, loneliness is not the same as abandonment. Sometimes God hides your company to make you aware of his closeness. He isolates to insulate, not to injure. You are never uncovered. So breathe deeply now. You've walked through fire and come out fragrant, not burned. You've stood in storms and found stillness instead of fear. You've carried promise through battle and discovered protection that doesn't break. Heaven says, I've built a wall of light around you. No shadow can cross it. No darkness can endure it. Walk forward unafraid, because now that you are protected, you are ready to transform. And that's where the story turns from preservation to fulfillment, from promise to manifestation. This is the moment creation has been waiting for, the unveiling of what the wilderness was shaping. The air around you feels different now, because it is. Destiny is breathing through it. Heaven has turned the page, and everything that once felt delayed now begins to accelerate under divine order. You've crossed over. The ground beneath your feet isn't the same. It's fertile now. The very soil that once resisted your roots has been transformed by your perseverance. Every tear watered it. Every prayer tilled it. Every act of faith made it ready. Now it blooms under your steps because God promised it would. Transformation doesn't begin when everything changes around you. It begins when everything changes within you. And that shift has already occurred. Your mind no longer bends toward fear, but toward faith. Your heart no longer clings to what was, but reaches for what's ahead. You no longer chase validation. you carry confirmation. You have become the evidence that God redeems wilderness into wonder. Look closely. Where there was lack, provision begins to flow. Where there was silence, divine strategy speaks. Where there was isolation, divine alignment gathers kingdom connections. And what once broke you now becomes your breakthrough language, the testimony you will use to lift others who are still wandering. You are stepping into your Canaan moment. The promises of old are beginning to take form. Dreams that once seemed distant start showing signs of life. Ideas long dormant begin to stir again with fresh breath. The wait was never wasted. It was womb time. Every hidden season has birthed wisdom, and that wisdom is your crown. But here's the sacred secret: fulfillment isn't about finally getting what you wanted. It's about becoming what God always saw. You are now walking as the healed, the restored, the refined. The pain didn't disappear, it transformed into purpose. The rejection didn't erase your value, it revealed your resilience. The detours didn't derail your destiny, they defined your direction. Heaven celebrates you now, not because you arrived, but because you endured. Your obedience became your offering, and your offering became your overflow. What once was merely prophecy has become your reality. The favor on your life is no longer a promise waiting. It's a river flowing. You'll notice divine synchronicities everywhere, timing that feels too perfect to be coincidence meetings, that carry holy momentum, ideas that open unexpected doors. That's what divine fulfillment looks like. Heaven moves quietly but unmistakably, aligning everything you need with everything you've become. And though blessings will abound, you'll feel lighter, not greedy, not striving, not desperate, just peaceful. Because the one who has met God in the wilderness learns that presence is greater than possession. You will no longer need to prove your calling. Your peace will do the talking. The transformation is total. The same you who once knelt in the dust of despair now stands clothed in strength. The same lips that once whispered, "Will I make it now?" declare, "I was made for this." You are radiant, resilient, redeemed. The Spirit of God declares, you have crossed over from weeping to winning, from wandering to walking in purpose, from waiting to witnessing. Every shadow is lifting, every chain has fallen, and every promise I whispered in the dark will now shine in daylight. So lift your eyes, your horizon is open. Lift your hands, the blessing is tangible. Lift your heart, the new day has begun. This is not the end of your story. It's the revelation of why it all began, because fulfillment isn't a destination. It's the unveiling of the divine in you. Take a breath. Feel the stillness settle around you. The wilderness is behind you now, and the wind before you carries promise. Heaven has spoken. Your spirit has heard. The crossing is complete. This is the sacred pause after victory, the quiet where revelation becomes reality. You don't have to force anything anymore. You don't have to prove anything anymore. You've stepped into a rhythm where grace moves first, and you simply follow. Before you go forward, let these affirmations root deep into your soul. Speak them aloud. Let them echo through the atmosphere until even your cells remember. Affirmation 1. I am walking in divine alignment. Every step I take is guided by purpose. I no longer wander, I walk with wisdom. Heaven's timing is my timeline, and peace is my confirmation. Affirmation 2. The wilderness refined me, not defined me. My scars are not symbols of defeat. They are signatures of survival. What tried to break me built me. I am stronger, softer, wiser, and ready. Affirmation 3. I am covered, chosen, and commissioned. Angels surround me. The presence of God fills me. I move forward not as one seeking favor, but as one carrying it. Affirmation 4. I am crossing over into fulfillment. Doors open easily. Provision meets me naturally. My life flows with divine order. The promise is not coming, it's here. Now let the blessing seal what heaven has begun. May the Lord who called you in the dark now crown you in the light. May every lesson you learned in pain become wisdom you carry in peace. May your voice echo with the same authority that once broke your chains. May your eyes see clearly beyond fear, beyond doubt, beyond limitation. May your path shine brighter with each step, guided by grace that cannot be stolen. When storms rise again, and they will, may you remember this. You are not who you were when the first storm found you. You are unshakable now, anchored in divine certainty. No wave can drown one who has already walked on water. Heaven's decree stands firm, the wilderness is over, and your new day has begun. Every promise, every prophecy, every whispered word of hope fulfilled in due time, and due time is now. So lift your head, beloved. Walk forward with peace. Carry light like a mantle. And never forget, when you crossed over, you didn't just survive, you transformed. This is your season of completion. This is your inheritance of wholeness. This is your divine becoming. It is done.